Good morning. My name is Drew Virtue. I introduced myself earlier when we had a larger group, but now that it's a smaller group, I just wanted to reintroduce myself again. To give you some room to stand on here of parties and what they're doing, my name is Drew Virtue. I'm the prosecutor, meaning I'm going to be presenting evidence supporting the defendant's guilt. Defense counsel will be representing their client. We'll have the clerk here, whose job it is to create a complete record of this case, both for the recording as well as writing things down when need be. The court officers who are up and about are here to make sure that we're safe, as well as help people kind of figure out where they need to go. The judge's job is to, kind of clunky term from law school, be the master of the law. And that leaves you guys, which an equally clunky term for the jury is the master of the facts. It's the idea that it's your job, it's your exclusive job, your special job, to determine the facts at stake that we're talking about, what actually happened. And this is concerning what happened on December 2nd of 2025. Now, you're going to have an opportunity to hear from some witnesses. You're going to have an opportunity to hear from Ms. Mila Adams. She'll tell you about her career as a private chef. She'll tell you how she came to know the defendant, about how she came to be working as a chef for him. She'll tell you about her experience working for Mr. Diggs. I expect she'll tell you about a disagreement she had with some members of his staff. And then I expect that she'll tell you about what happened on December 2nd. And I remind you, it's your job here today to determine what happened on December 2nd. I expect Ms. Mila Adams, when she takes that stand, she'll tell you how she was texting with the defendant, her boss, Mr. Diggs. That on that text they started arguing, they started name-calling. I expect she'll tell you how she was in her bedroom at his house, how he entered her bedroom, walked up to her, and slapped her. I expect she's going to tell you how he put her in a headlock, the difficulty she had breathing, that he threw her on the bed, and then he left. I expect she's going to tell you then how that affected her, what she did after her, how she continued working for him afterwards, how she had a dispute with him over a payment, how his staff told her that she needed to sign a non-disclosure agreement to get paid. I expect she'll tell you that it wasn't until after this incident on December 2nd that anyone talked to her about a non-disclosure agreement. I expect for her to tell you how she eventually left that job as a chef for Mr. Diggs, and how she eventually reported what happened to her to the police. You'll also have an opportunity to hear from an officer from the Dedham Police, one Kenneth Ellis. He'll tell you about his training that he undertook in order to become an officer, and how on December the 16th, Ms. Mila Adams came to the Dedham Police Station to talk to the police. He'll be able to tell you a bit about that encounter, what he saw, a little bit about that conversation, and ultimately how he chose to, how charges were filed against Mr. Diggs. Now, in this case, Mr. Diggs has no obligation to call any witnesses. He may choose not to call any witnesses, and you cannot hold that against him. But in the event that he does call witnesses, I ask that you give his witnesses the same care, the same attention, and the same scrutiny that you give to the Commonwealth's witnesses. It's part of your job as jurors, as the master of the facts, to listen to every witness, to pay attention, and to assess their credibility. In doing so, I ask that you keep two things in mind. One, what the witness had an opportunity to see or not to see. Whether the witness had an actual opportunity to witness the crime or just saw things in and around it. And two, what sort of financial relationship each witness had to Mr. Diggs. I imagine the defense may argue that Ms. Adams' financial dispute with Mr. Diggs is an important part of this case, and I'd say it is an important part of this case. But just in the same way that her financial relationship to Mr. Diggs is important, so is all the witnesses' financial relationship to Mr. Diggs. Now, at the conclusion of evidence, I'll have an opportunity to come back to you again. During that time, closing arguments, I'll ask you to come to a decision based on the evidence you heard. But right now, what I'm asking you is to not come to any decisions. Right now, your main job is to listen. It's to pay attention, to give every bit of evidence the attention and the scrutiny it deserves. And when I say every bit of evidence, I do mean every bit of evidence, because in cases like this, every bit of evidence is important. Thank you.
Counsel, do you care to open?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, again, ladies and gentlemen. The assault the Commonwealth just described in their opening statement in only a few sentences. It never happened. Did not happen. There was no strangulation, there was no assault, there was no incident on December 2nd or any other day. There were 6 people in Mr. Diggs' home on December 2nd, and not one heard or saw anything out of the ordinary. The Commonwealth has no physical evidence. There are no medical records. There are no photos or videos showing any injuries. There are videos showing no injuries at all. Pay attention to where those came from. On December 16th, as the Commonwealth just said, Ms. Adams went to the police, and you will learn that after that, on the very day the complaint issued in this case, December 29th, demands for money from Mr. Diggs began coming from Ms. Adams' agents. Starting the end of December on the 29th with over $19,000, and the most recent being a sum for quite a bit more. My name, again, is Andrew Kettlewell, and with my partner, Ms. Silva, we represent Stefon Diggs, who I'm actually going to ask to stand up for a moment. Mr. Diggs is a 33-year-old professional football player and businessman. He played for the New England Patriots last year. He's from Maryland. He's joined here with his mother. Thank you. You're going to learn, ladies and gentlemen, that December 2nd, 2025 was a day like any other for Stefon Diggs. He was in a good mood. The Patriots had played the night before. They'd won. He played well. He was going to head into work on December 2nd, just like any other day after a game, for treatment, film review, team meetings. And that night, on December 2nd, 2025, he and his closest friends were scheduled to fly to Miami, Florida. That was for the 1 week off he had during the season, the 1 week of vacation. It's called a bye week. During that day, after he went to work, friends began arriving at his house, folks who were also joining him on the trip to Miami. There were other people in his house. One of those people who I expect you're going to hear from is his assistant, Janelle Salas. You'll hear people refer to her as Son. You're going to hear from Ms. Salas that for the entire afternoon, she was in Mr. Diggs' home in Dedham on Schoolmaster Street, sitting in the kind of main area, living room, kitchen area, watching people come and go. And she was getting things ready for the trip that night. Miss Adams, you're going to hear, was also in that house. She lived and worked in that house as Mr. Diggs' chef for the regular season. And that was from July 2025 to December 2025. That morning, Miss Adams was not happy. Instead, she was quietly seething about being left off that trip to Miami. I mentioned they were going to Miami that night and that Mr. Diggs is a businessman. In Miami, you're going to hear that there was an art show where a furniture line he collaborated with a person on was being displayed. But also in Miami, you're going to hear that Mr. Diggs had a birthday party. He had just turned 33, and that there was a week's worth of fun. And Miss Adams initially was expected to be on the trip, but she had been left off. And she'd been left off because she'd spent the previous several days feuding with that business partner from the furniture line who was in Miami. And that person's name is Lindsay. I'm going to get back to that in one moment. But why was Miss Adams so frustrated that morning? Why was she so upset about Mr. Diggs taking Miss Lindsay's side in a feud over hers? It's because Miss Adams wasn't just a chef. She had known Mr. Diggs for years previous to ever working for him. They had been friends, and at times they'd been friends with benefits. That relationship had led to Miss Adams getting the job to cook for Mr. Diggs. She got to live in the house. She went to games. She sat with the owners of an NFL team, went to parties. She was paid $2,000 a week in reimbursement for what she claimed she spent on groceries. And she had plenty of opportunity to talk to Mr. Diggs about trying to get him to invest in her to open her dream restaurant. As that season wore on, her place in Mr. Diggs' circle began to slip. And things came to a head in late November when that issue that I just mentioned, the feud between her and this person named Lindsay, popped up. That feud, it's about an anonymous blog post that was posted on the internet. Lindsay said that Miss Adams posted it. Miss Adams said Lindsay was the problem. The blog, the drama, all of that, it's not important in this case. What is important is that by December 2nd, 2025, Miss Adams was furious. She was upset about being left off the trip. She was upset about Mr. Diggs taking Lindsay's side over her in that argument. And so while he was at work, she was at the house. And you will see the text messages, I expect, that she sent to him that morning. You'll see her frustration boiled over. A quick word about those text messages. I expect you're going to see most, if not all, of these messages. And there's some language in there that is not typically courtroom appropriate. There's cursing, there's slang. The one thing I ask of you is that you don't let the way that the messages, the two parties in the messages communicated with one another, interfere with your ability to understand the content and to understand their importance. Because you're going to see what that exchange was about. You're going to see it was about this dispute, about Miss Adams being left off the Miami trip, and about Mr. Diggs picking somebody else's side over her. And you're going to hear why that's important. Because as I said, Miss Adams went to the Dedham Police Department on December 16th. And she made her report. And she told them that the argument on December 2nd was about money. She told them that's what the fight was about, over text and in real life, and that's how things got out of hand. She didn't mention Miami. Listen to what else she didn't mention. And 2 days later, she sent the Dedham Police Department a screenshot of the text messages she said, and you just heard the Commonwealth say, led into that fight. Led over the phone to Mr. Diggs, coming into her room and committing this offense. And you're going to see those messages that she sent to the Dedham police. And I expect that what the evidence is going to show you, after you've seen those, after you've seen all the messages that she did not show to the Dedham police, the evidence is going to show you that she curated the messages. She omitted some, she removed other messages before she sent them to the Dedham police to fit her narrative. By the way, on December 2nd, she indicated to the police as well that she had not been paid for November. You're going to hear a little bit about her payment and about her paperwork, and we'll get to that in one moment. A few of the people who you're going to hear from in this trial. Many of them do work or have been associated with Mr. Diggs. Sonny, his assistant, is one of the witnesses you're going to hear from. I indicated to you she was inside the home that day, sitting in the living room, watching people come and go, doing her job like normal. She personally spoke to Miss Adams throughout that day, and she'll tell you what she observed. You're going to hear from other folks who talked or texted with Miss Adams that day as well. You're going to learn that Mr. Diggs had a scheduled day. He was at work in Foxborough, and even after he got back from work, he had a set schedule. He had an IV treatment for 1 hour and a 2-hour massage that followed. Following that, as I said, they were getting on the airplane and they were flying to Miami. As for Miss Adams, what you'll hear is that there was nothing out of the ordinary. She was normal. She cooked dinner for Mr. Diggs on December 2nd. She chatted on the phone and spent the afternoon and early evening in the house, and that night she flew to New York City to spend her week off with friends. Now, I've said normal a few times already in this case. Let me pause and tell you what normal was like in the Diggs house. Mr. Diggs is a highly regarded professional athlete. He owns a clothing line, a furniture line that I've already mentioned, and other businesses. And he's a public figure. He has a coterie of family, friends, and staff around him at all times. Good professional athletes are paid very well in this country, and Mr. Diggs is very good at his job. He has the means to support his friends, family, and staff, and he takes good care of his people. You're going to hear that on December 2nd, he was taking his entire entourage on an airplane down to Miami and putting them up for weeks' worth of events and parties, and that wasn't even out of the ordinary. So normal in the Mr. Diggs house is a little bit different from normal in your house or mine. But just like any other person in this country, rich or poor, Mr. Diggs sits here an innocent man. And any preconceptions or feelings you have about athletes, wealth, or anything else, you have to put aside and not let interfere with the oath you just took as jurors. So we've talked about December 2nd because that's the day Miss Adams claimed this incident occurred. You're going to hear about other days as well. You'll hear a little bit, like I said, about that November blog incident because it led up to the text exchange on December 2nd. The text exchange, the Commonwealth just told you, led into this physical assault that Miss Adams claims occurred. You also heard a moment ago that she flew to New York City that night. And I expect that you're going to hear from the people she stayed with in New York City. Their names are Shai Charles and Natalia Moses. They're both hairstylists who live in New York City, and you're going to see videos from Miss Adams' trip to New York City. Videos recorded only hours after she had landed, hours after this alleged incident had occurred. Videos from later that week, the next day, and a few days after that. And when you hear about those videos, ask yourself, what am I seeing? Where did the information come from? And what can it tell me? Ask yourself whether what is depicted on those videos is consistent with the Commonwealth's theory that Miss Adams was brutally assaulted by a professional athlete in her bedroom on December 2nd. Ask yourself, what would you expect to see from what the Commonwealth just described in a person's demeanor and physically on their body? There's an old axiom that the simplest answer that accounts for all the facts, that is the true answer. See if the Commonwealth's theory accounts for all of the evidence that you're going to get to see over the next day and a half. One other thing that you are going to hear, the Commonwealth mentioned it briefly for a moment there, was that Miss Adams returned to the house in Dedham. You're going to learn that happened on December 9th, 1 week after she went to New York City. One thing you will learn about that return is that on December 16th, she told the police that she was only going there to pack her things. The evidence will show you that that was not true. She actually went back to work just like nothing had happened. Pay very close attention to the details surrounding her return on December 9th. How she got there, what she was doing, what happened after she got back to the house in the middle of the night at about 11:30 p.m. and walked in unaccompanied. Listen for those details about what she did then and what happened after, and ask yourself whether it tends to corroborate the story the Commonwealth just told you, that she was violently assaulted and strangled on December 2nd, or whether it instead suggests that nothing happened on December 2nd. As I said, after Miss Adams got back to work on December 9th, she tried to pretend that things were fine. She tried to get back in Mr. Diggs' good graces to get him to forget about the text exchange back on December 2nd. But the damage, the argument they had on December 2nd was done, and she couldn't get back into his good graces. And even worse, she was now coming back and going to have to comply with the same rules that applied to everybody else. The Commonwealth already mentioned one of those. You're going to hear from Melissa Goddard, one of Mr. Diggs' bookkeepers who came up from Florida. She's going to tell you that she took over responsibility for Miss Adams' payment that fall and that she found, because Miss Adams had had this previous relationship with Mr. Diggs, that she had never been onboarded as a normal contractor. She had never filled out any normal paperwork. And she told the assistant Sonny and Miss Adams that they needed to follow the normal procedures. Miss Adams needed to sign proper paperwork, including signing an NDA just like anybody else. And she needed to submit actual receipts for reimbursements, just like everybody else. And you're going to see that Miss Adams ignored those requests until she couldn't anymore. And that happened around December 13th. On December 13th, you're going to learn Miss Adams got an email about that paperwork, and she got upset. She got mad again, and there was another barrage of angry text messages to Mr. Diggs. And this time, she wound up getting herself fired for good. I expect that you're going to end up seeing those messages as well. Messages the police weren't told about, because the police weren't told she went back to work after December 9th. This time, some of those messages actually were about money, but also still the same Lindsay blog post issue of Mr. Diggs picking someone over her. The end of this exchange on December 13th was more specific than December 2nd. Mr. Diggs sent $2,000 via Apple Pay that Ms. Adams claimed she owed and told her she did not need to worry about cooking for him anymore. She was out, and this time she knew there was no getting back in. And listen to what happened when you hear the evidence after that, after December 13th. 3 days later, as you've already heard, Miss Adams went to the police. She didn't tell them about December 13th or that she'd been fired. Instead, she told them a made-up story. She was furious, and she wanted Mr. Diggs to pay in every sense of that word. And what you will hear is that her demands for money, as I said, began on December 29th, the same day the criminal complaint issued in this case. You will also hear that as this case has gone on and public pressure has grown, that number has only gone up. And I will let her tell you what number she is now demanding from Mr. Diggs. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Diggs sits here an innocent man. That's the beauty of the American justice system. You heard a little bit about the way trial works. You heard that the burden is entirely on the Commonwealth to prove its case. Their burden, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that's the highest burden in our system. And as Mr. Virtue mentioned, Mr. Diggs has no burden whatsoever. One thing Mr. Virtue and I agree on: be skeptical with every witness. And financial incentives certainly do play a role in this case. We will call witnesses. We do so to give you the fullest possible picture of what happened and what did not happen on December 2nd, to give you the clearest picture of the truth. But that does not mean that we have to prove a single thing. The Commonwealth bears the burden, and the burden never shifts. That's how our system works. That's the beauty of it. That when an innocent person like Mr. Diggs is charged with a crime they didn't commit, what can they do? They can do this. They look the Commonwealth right in the eye and they say, "Prove it." And that's exactly what Mr. Diggs has done. That's why you are here, ladies and gentlemen. That's what a trial is. Mr. Diggs has chosen to place his fate in your hands. You, ladies and gentlemen, are the most important part of our system. I thank you, and Mr. Diggs thanks you, for being here and for your service. You are the only people who can and who must hold the government to its burden. And the way you do that, it's not fancy. It's by using your common sense, your life experience, tools you use every day of your life to weigh credibility and to make decisions. And our system depends on that. You are the judges of credibility. And so I ask that you listen carefully, that you keep your full attention while you're here, and that you remember that the simplest answer that accounts for all the facts is the true answer. One of the worst things that a person can go through is to be charged with a crime that they didn't commit, especially in a situation like this one. where the charge hinges entirely on the word of a single person, and that person has millions of reasons to lie. So let's have a trial. And at the end of it, at the end of all the evidence, after you have heard it, I'm going to have the opportunity to come back and discuss the evidence as well. And at that time, I'm going to ask you to deliver what I expect will be the only true and just verdict in this case. And I can tell you right now that that will be to find Stefon Diggs not guilty.